All right, folks, here we go. Normally we do not on Saturday night, but I want to address this situation that is happening right now and try to clear up and answer some questions, various things, especially when I start to see some of the things that are being said. And I'm going to assume again that a lot of people don't read because that would be too easy if people would actually read the stories. Thank you, Robin. Folks, again, it is Saturday night. It is 1, and I want to take you through. And I'm not trying to pick on anyone. I want to wait till a few more people file in. Remember, you can type in someone's name. You can always share that you were watching. But folks, sometimes when I see some of the comments, it makes me think that either, like I always blame, am I not explaining this right? I want to remind people. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you very much, Sharon. There's Ann. Everybody together. There's Lynn Miller. Juanito. Thank you, everybody. Folks, and especially if you, thank you, Josh. If you know someone that's a nurse or connected with the Rhode Island Hospital, this is horrifying. Now, there's a couple of things. There he is. Hi there. I want to just mention, and again, folks, I want people. Hi there, Anthony. I want people to understand. Listen, I'm not going to jump down somebody's throat. But this is just like a friendly reminder. Remember, you don't always have to comment. You don't have to comment, right? Commenting is optional. So, but if you do comment, at least realize this, Sal. How's the baby sleeping? At least realize, Nantucket checking in, that sometimes the comment can mislead people. So, so I know, and people can say, well, that's my opinion, but you're missing the larger point. And again, I'm not here to try to embarrass anyone. Hi there, Anne Marie. There's Anna. But if you do, there's Angelo. I got to meet up with him for those tomatoes. But I want to point out that if you do comment, sometimes, as I was saying, that comment could then, thank you very much, Billy Manzo. It can then, it throws off things. And again, I love Jane Rice. I do love Jane Rice and Buddy, but hoping for speedy recovery. It's not a broken ankle. What? Hoping for a speedy recovery? Are people reading? Folks, I want to remind you also, notice the weekend, the rest of the media, they're not doing any of the story. I'll tell you my weekend goal. I'm going to find out the name of this maniac. Again, I'm going to assume people hoping for a speedy recovery. The guy coded 7 times, the male nurse. Thank you, RF. What? And listen, the HIPAA thing. I get it. And a lot of the people at Rhode Island, it's the people at Rhode Island Hospital that are telling people, oh no, we can't say anything because of HIPAA. Excuse me. The quote patient, who I'm told 6'3", I want to just like put this in perspective. And again, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. I'm not, but like I'm reading some of these comments. Do you understand what took place? How terrifying this must have been? How horrifying this was? I want to just put this in perspective. I was, as we all know, last August, attacked. This video was covered in the evening news. Folks, I mean, that was horrifying. Okay. So various injuries from that. This nurse, Scott Amaral, check DePietro.com. Do you understand? He's in critical condition. Basically, life support is keeping him alive. Let's just be really clear. There's not going to be a speedy recovery. Speedy recovery. This man, this poor man, father of 2 young women, was basically beaten to death. I don't know how else to say it. But when I see things like comments like that, I feel like people aren't reading or they're not absorbing how serious this is. Terrible. Now, there's also, this is a vicious, do you know how horrifying that must have been? And his coworkers that were performing CPR to try to keep him alive? Prayers for the family, speedy recovery. What? He didn't slip on blanking ice. Listen, and this HIPAA thing. No. This potentially is a murder charge. I know, Stephanie. This poor man. I feel for him. And I've been communicating all day with various nurses and so forth. His Bill and everyone. Unreal. Now, here's the other thing. Folks, I implore you to read, but let me be really clear with these people. HIPAA, kids. Hold on. The guy was arrested, and he's at the ACI right now. HIPAA. You think we're not going to know if he ends up that he's charged with a murder or at least a by the way, it's another penalty if you attack a doctor or nurse. The HIPAA thing is the hospital running cover. I feel terrible for these doctors and nurses. However, Rhode Island Hospital, no police allowed in. They're very hostile towards the Providence police. And let me just be crystal clear, since people don't read. That's more than obvious. Prayers for a speedy recovery? I saw that. I like, what? Are these people, is anyone reading what I'm blanking writing on a Saturday night? You know what my day was? One, met with 2 nurses this morning to get the inside info. 2, went to the funeral. Tommy Bryan's dad passed away, and it was a lovely service. St. Margaret Church, Riverside. His brother gave one of the most beautiful eulogies I've ever heard, and the music was spectacular. What a wonderful life lived in a wonderful service. The rest of the day, I've been working on this story. Folks, I'm giving you new info on a Saturday night. Here's a, news alert. The rest of the media, they're not even working. Don't you understand what happened? This patient shouldn't have even been there. I know it's a psych ward. Clearly, they misjudge. See, here's the problem with the hospital board. No. The police make people uncomfortable. Folks, it's the same people. It's the Black Lives Matter crowd. It's the counselors, not cops. Get the police out of the schools. They are short-staffed. Of course it'll be public record. Well, he was actually arraigned on Friday very quickly, Steve. So I'm working on it. Again, I'm not trying to take it out on anybody. I want to remind people, you're not forced to comment. If you comment, you can always delete your comment. But I fear that people, if I see things like that then you're misleading people. No. If he's going to be in court, which he is, the prisoner now, and then he's going to get more time, we have a right to know who this individual is. I can tell you I'm working nonstop to get it. If there's someone right now out there that has the name, I have a name, but I want to make sure it's the right name. So I'm going with the 2 sources here. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they give the Providence police, they give all police a terrible time there. The hospital board. Okay. Now, you want to really throw it? You want to really have a Saturday night throwdown to show you the type of mood that I am in? How much money did they get during COVID? Did you see the bonuses the board and all these hospital executives got? How many millions did they get during COVID? Police go. They give them it's not coming from security. As I wrote, security is run by 2 former Providence police officers. It's coming from the board. Where police, what do police do? They go to the hospital. There's a shooting victim. What do you think they're trying to do? They're trying to get information. Always give them a hard time. So I'm going to tell you things that the rest of the media, I'm telling you, doesn't know. I'll say it. There's bad blood between. I don't know about all police departments, but I can tell you the Providence Police Department, Rhode Island Hospital, is bad blood, no question. Hey, listen, and this attitude that they give off, right? When you have a shooting victim and they won't cooperate and they won't say anything, and the police are in there trying to get information, I want to. All right, now this may have my attention. Hold on. I have a name. I need to match the name. There's two parts of this story that I cannot afford to be wrong on. Number one, we cannot afford to be wrong on the condition of the male nurse. I've heard it's very touch and go, but I'm not. That's not coming from me. We know it's obviously really serious, so I'm not going with what his status is until I have that, and I know you have my attention. And the other thing is the name. If it matches the name that I have, I'm putting it out there. HIPAA. What is wrong? Like, who's even saying that? Do you understand that he basically like beat this poor man to death? I am sick over this story. I was with people that were crying earlier. I've been on the phone with people that are crying. I mean, I feel terrible for them. I was talking with a spouse of someone whose spouse works there. They're totally unacceptable. You know what? It's so classic. Thank you, Patty Ann. So classic of a yeah. Oh, of course, Dr. Lisa. Well, here's the thing, though. Lifespan. They spent a lot of money with Channel 10, and they spent a lot of money with Channel 12. So I'm not. They don't spend any money with me. Tell you that much. Nor do I want or need their blanking money. But notice like the news stations are being very, here's their statement. We're not going to say anything more because of HIPAA. We can't like save that. This is I want to know how. I am just so mad about this whole thing. How did hide that, Kathy? Listen, folks, and I may drop some f bombs. I'm so upset. So yeah, listen. What was the guy doing there? I am so sick. You know what happened last night? There they are, PVD Fest. All right, the thing was a blow, and I was the bomb threat anyway. The Friday night bomb threat in Warwick. So that's the latest. How do you know it's Friday in Warwick? There's a bomb threat. But what the inmates, families of inmates, were protesting at PVD Fest about the conditions at the ACI. They're lucky I didn't go. Number one, I'm not giving those people any blanking oxygen. That's A. B. What the blank are you doing there? The prison's in Cranston. You're protesting at PVD Fest? Like what? What do you like that? That shows you the mentality. Ludicrous. They sent me a thing. If you want to, no, guess what? No, I'm not covering you. I am so tired. Yeah, let me guess. Everybody there is not guilty. Everybody there. There's no guilty guys. So they won't. Hold on. Now he's reconsidering. All right, I may have to do that. I'll send one of my people. Go ahead. Listen, here's why you can tell me. Number one, my attorney, Tim Dodd, is on speed dial. We deal with it all the time. That's number one. Number two, I do have Press Shield. I do have Press Shield, which means they can't compel me to tell me where I got my information. Number three, if they wanted to lock me up for not giving them where I got the information, I mean, the Department of Corrections people are all cool with me. So, no, no one will. Tell me. I just need confirmation. I'm talking with someone. I love not. Oh, man. The spouse is telling me not to give it to you. They can get in trouble. Do you understand this poor man? How horrifying that must have been. This animal. That's another thing. I am so sick of all these people. Mental health is the biggest problem. Like, enough of that. All right? There are some people that are unfit to be around society. There are some people, I'll say it again. We don't like, here's what the Rhode Island Hospital Board, we don't like to have the police around because they make some of the patients uncomfortable. Gee, isn't that, I'm ready to drop an F-bomb here. Isn't that a fucking burden? Too bad. Oh, it does? It makes them uncomfortable around the psych ward? Too bad. Thank you, Patty Ann. Outrageous. And the media goes right along. And lifespan, that is true. They drop a ton of money in local media. Now we know why. There's Gina Parker. Terrible. Insane. Too bad. I can't stand it anymore. Everything's an excuse now. you watch. They'll have it that he's the victim. Let me guess. The male nurse resembled a police officer. There were some people, I'll say it again, they're unfit to be around society. You have people that would not, thank you, Steve Evett, would not go to school, wouldn't pay attention, decide to drink, decide to do drugs, and now we're supposed to all feel sorry. Hey, listen, if you've been drinking for a long time and you do meth and you do blow and you do other drugs, I'll bet you do have some mental health problems. Yeah, because then you're living on the street and you're ripping off your family. Yeah, of course they are. But don't give me like, mental health is the problem no one wants to talk about. I can't stand it. I'm telling you, Megan. I'm telling you. Thank you, Kathy. I am so sick of seeing that. No one wants to. There's an idiot run. I'll say the word, walking around CCRI in a lizard costume. Like, what are we talking about? We're paying the tuition. He identifies as a reptile. I wouldn't put up with it. Granted, I went to Catholic school. I went to Hendricken as well. Enough of this. He's just crying out for help. No, enough. Listen, you want to come here tomorrow? Lose the lizard suit. All these people now make excuses. Well, maybe there's a rash on his neck. But anyhow, let me get back to the Rhode Island Hospital thing. Thank you, Cassandra. Folks, our first responders pulling an attitude with the police. Well, you're making the gang members uncomfortable. Oh, we're making friggin' gang members uncomfortable. Boo fucking who. Hey, guess what? Listen, you just got lit up. Your friend was shot and killed. You got shot 2 times. We know you know who shot you. Would more people have to be shot? You're making them very uncomfortable. I can't listen to it. And I tell that to the police. Thank you, Pam Sharp. They have more patience than I do. I feel terrible for this man. I feel terrible for his coworkers. Horrible. Many years ago, it is. But listen, read between the lines. The guy coded 7 times, the male nurse. His name and photo was on DePietro.com. I'm not sure he's going to pull through. I'm not being doom and gloom, but we got to deal in reality. What a horrible, vicious, no weapon. Basically beaten to death on Friday morning. Doing his job. I get that he's a white male. So I'm already getting some of those messages. Oh, that's why you're so concerned. From some of these individuals. It's the same crowd. It's the Bucket West crowd. It's some of the Providence crowd. Oh, no, can you imagine what the press would be right now if the male nurse that was beaten so badly, he's fighting for his life on life support and critical condition. Can you imagine? I'm not even want to get into, right? Can you imagine if he were a person of color, if he were, I want the name of the inmate. I'm going to get it one way or the other. I'm going with it. Too bad. You think these people don't want, you know what? You think I care what they think? The Lifespan Board would be very upset. Like, you think I give a flying fuck? Have you people don't get it? You're not going to get invited to the Hasbro ball. Like, what? You're clearly not paying attention. As soon as I getting the name, it's posted. And his criminal record and his picture and everything else. Ludicrous. It doesn't matter, Farrell Paul. Well, no. So if you, Stephanie, it's a male nurse. So, no, it's terrible. They need more security there. I don't care. Oh, if this were, imagine if it was a trans nurse, you know, of color, and it was a Trump. Well, I don't want to get into that. Let's just deal with what we have. Hi there, Diane. That's right. There's Wink Hawkins. I am telling you, folks. Now, granted, all right, I admit, listen, I was speaking with people that work there. I was speaking with people whose spouse worked there. So, all right, I'll go with if I seem a little worked up, you know. Um, I think that's normal. You can't always block this stuff out. I don't. I feel for them. I feel terrible for them. As I look at his photo, by the way, I have a link on DePetro.com. There he is. No one else will say him. I will. Scott Amaral. Feel terrible for this man and his family. How horrifying. What a nightmare. He's in there as a nurse to help people. They take an oath to help people. Basically beaten to critical condition. How horrifying that must have been. And for his coworkers. Horrible. Jane Brown, psych unit, 5th floor. Of course they're all devastated. How did that guy get there? Let's talk about the patient slash inmate, because he's in right now. He's at the intake center at the ACI. I'm going to withhold some of the things I'd like to say about that. But by the way, the whole thing was captured on video. They have it. Now, there's some, I don't want to get caught up in the details. Someone told me it started in the bathroom and then it came into the main floor. I don't want to get bogged down in that because then they start going nuts if you're wrong with the slightest detail. Just like, 2 weeks ago with the ACI, you have no idea what you're talking about. It wasn't 60 inmates, it was 58. Like whatever. Give me a blanket break. But no weapon used. So horrible. I listen. Here's what I want to. I want to know why. How did that guy get in there into the psych ward? So sick of this whole thing. Oh, he's just what he's frightened. He's a misunderstood patient. The progressives involved with healthcare. Look at how the police make some of our patients uncomfortable. Well, yeah, I can imagine. If you're a gang member and you've been shot twice, I would think the presence of police should make you rest easy, right? At least then. No, it's the family of the gang member. The police are making them uncomfortable. I didn't realize, giving them a hard time. But the lack, yeah. Oh, he's not a dangerous criminal. This is what I was told. One of the board members said, he's just a troubled patient. He sounds like a 6'3" killer to me. There's the link on the website. GoFundMe, Scott, Prayers Warriors. It's already raised a tremendous amount of money. I feel so bad about this. Look at that. They started with a goal of 5,000 injured nurse prayer warriors. Doing his job. It's already raised $68,000. Wow. I am telling you, folks. And here's the thing. Like we already know. I'm not going to get into like where was McKee, but like where was McKee? I feel terrible for this poor man. And granted, I have been. What'd you do today? All right, fine, true, guilty. After the funeral, I was speaking with people that work at the hospital. And by the way, there are some very good people that work at the hospital. I feel bad for them. They're in a terrible situation. It's very, very upsetting. I know. I don't know. Then people, thank you, Brenda Lee. Then people start complaining about the language, and I don't, folks. There's just sometimes with Juan, I'm in a no-win. I feel so terrible for this. And again, the people, listen. This is a really serious situation. At the very least, just read the story before you start commenting. I don't think it's a big deal. And I get it that people just like to comment. They don't have, everybody's so busy. You don't have 2 minutes to read a story to get more details. Well, one step at a time. One step at a time on that. Yes, that's right, Cassandra. Dama was. No, I'm not. Some people are. That's all right. I normally am pretty good about it. And listen, for what I learned today and the details that are so gruesome, I think I'm actually, yep, I did hear about that. All right, hold on, more info coming. Yeah, I have the name, but I gotta get someone to back it up. Yep. If a prisoner, that's all true. If a prisoner makes a suicidal threat, you don't even have to make a threat. You just have to say you're having suicidal thoughts. You get right out of the cell to the hospital. Yep. Yeah. See, that's the problem. And I know someone, he is at intake. Oh, you don't think so? He's oh, okay. Yeah, he's at a separate, I don't know the exact term, but it's like if you're a, I hesitate now to use this word, but if you're a nutcase, whatever you want to say, if you're mentally deranged, then you're actually in a different wing than there. I don't know where they put someone like that. Okay. Maybe they're at, is that at Elena Slater? He's in a lockdown unit, but he's not at Rhode Island Hospital. I believe he's at the Pastori complex in Cranston. I'm gonna get the name. I'm gonna get the name. Um, and I'm gonna publish the name. I don't, I all right. I know it's Saturday night. Hi there, Kathleen. That's right, Lori. He was. I'm not buying that. I don't know if they do. You should have heard me earlier. Again, folks, I apologize. I know some people don't like the. I know, Pauline, but then I always get complaints, and then someone had it on. I worked in the hospital psychiatric unit and were attacked by a patient. I can't even imagine, let alone that he beat him into submission. He beat him. He's at the. I think so, Cindy. He's at the ACI. So someone will dig into it. Um, okay. Or JB5. That's right. Jane Brown 5. Locked unit. That's right, Kathleen. Yes. I was outside Jane Brown today. I'm not going to give away who I was speaking to, but they are involved. And it's not DA, it's the Attorney General's office. They are involved. They are involved because he was arraigned. What word do we want to use? Patient, now an inmate, attacker, possibly killer. One of the three. He is. It is the Jane Brown. Yeah, locked unit. Wow. Hmm. Jeannie, and I'm not trying to nitpick, but in Rhode Island, it's the Attorney General. Mass is the DA. Arizona. Thank you. Hi there, Gloria. All right, someone knows the name. I want the name. I'm publishing the name. I am. You can't do that. Watch me. I can't do that. Whatever. We'll deal with it. Let them. Yeah, you think I care? Folks, Attorney Dodd is on speed dial. Let them come after me. I don't, it makes no difference to me. I'll do, I'm not even, that is the least of my, it's not even on the radar of concern. My concern is for that poor man, his family, and also, this Bendy, dinner at the Oaks. Can you imagine? I'm telling you, Wink. Oh my God, how horrifying. Enlisting in detail. to people that were there. I mean, what a vicious, brutal, and as you can imagine, it gets everybody on edge, and then it gets everyone. But I think we've gone too far with some of the progressive notions. Like it's so much about pronouns and people are just misunderstood. Somebody robs a liquor store and people are posting on my page, mental health is such a problem. And yeah, so's crime. Oh, so all those people, how about on the West Coast? The smash and grabs. They do like 10 people at a time. So they're not criminals. They're just misguided patients that need mental health. It's such bullshit. I can't even listen to it. It's so crazy. There's Josh Allen Cooney joining us. Thank you, Cassandra. Again, um, I'm well aware, folks. It is a Saturday, and I sometimes get messages from people at 7:20. Oh, don't you have anything better? Yeah, I do have better things to do. But like what? I get distracted. I'm on this. No one else is. They'll just wait for Monday for the press release. No, I'm not. We're gonna spread awareness of what happened and try to find out. And I want to know who the hell it was. I don't know, Bill. I think it's you just don't know. Uh, yeah. I don't know what the condition is going to be, but I want to be really clear with people. This is not, and I'm not trying to jump down anybody's throat, and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. I'm not, but this is not a speedy recovery type of thing. No, not when you coded 7 times. Not when you. I believe on life support. I do, and then it's just it's really difficult. This is, but the reason I'm sharing that with you is because I don't want to minimize what happened. And I when I see people say prayers for prayers and prayers for speedy recovery, I almost feel you're minimizing what took place. And I know people can say, well, that's not my intention, but this isn't like I said. This isn't like somebody slipped on the ice and broke their ankle. This was a vicious, heinous, brutal, petrifying attack. And again, I want people to comprehend this. There was no weapon involved. This person did this. I don't know the protocol and what the hell happened, but I'm just, it's so, and granted, all right, yes, I am obviously worked up from speaking with people at the hospital. Let's hope so. There's Stephen Diorio. Thank you, Stephen. The nurse got hit with a jit. Oh boy. That was not Cassandra. That was not a kick. No. This was. Now, we're going to treat it as until we hear differently. And I'm going to wait for official word on that. I don't feel comfortable saying that. I mean, I have heard from people that said it's very, very serious. I can't express that enough. And the only reason I'm expressing that is so people just don't do the emoji, prayers for the family, speedy recovery. What you're basically talking about is a nurse at Rhode Island Hospital. For for all in for all in listen, he was basically beaten to death. Okay. Now I think it's only through because he was at the hospital and for everything they have available to them that he is still breathing right now. But that's how vicious and horrifying and terrible this situation is. Staff doesn't want that. They don't like the police there. They give the police a hard time. I've heard that for a while. I kind of stayed away from it because the way I was getting the information was when I'd kind of hear it afterwards, and I was hearing that from police that were trying to get information from gang members. The first time I really heard that. No, I won't say the first time. When I started to hear a lot of chatter about that was the Washington Park gang, total blown out gang out shooting. It was May of 21. 55 shots fired on Carolina, Washington Park. All the people, all racing to the hospital. Oh, okay. Thank you, Cassandra. He coded 7 times. Internal damage, brain damage. Terrible. There's Tracy Pellegrino. I was hearing it then that there were gang members. Think of this. They're in the hospital. And you know how they say name, birthday, are you allergic to this? And they'd sit there and they wouldn't answer any questions. They wouldn't even give their name. And the police are trying to reason with them. Like, come on, like your friend was hit. We need information on that. And just some of the hospital administrators, it's coming from the board. It's the higher ups. Like it's clear he doesn't want to talk to you. Like you're pulling an attitude with the police. You have 9 people shot. That's who you pull the attitude with. I would have been like, hey, listen, we're not operating until you give us like who you are. Because if you're allergic and we give you some medicine, we know your family's going to sue us. Like I just think it's so. I'm telling you, Elizabeth. This is I know, and I hate even saying that, but I'm not going to withhold. I'm not going to withhold the name. I've already told you if you want to see who he is. Listen, he did nothing wrong. I mean, I'm not going to hide from that's who it is. And I have a link to people are just so aghast by it that that there's a link to try to help the family, but it's this part of it is I admit like it happened. He was doing his job. I'm not even going to put myself in the same thing of last August while I was doing my job and I was attacked. Again, I want to be really clear. This poor man, this male nurse, basically on life support in critical condition. That's how vicious, violent, horrifying this attack was. Absolutely nightmarish. That's an excellent recommendation, Cassandra. It did not, Lynn. Folks, it is frightening. It is frightening. Like, and it's funny that it is an element of like what is happening around. Like, you know, I really mean it. The damage that is being done with the people that are in charge of the state. I hate to, and I'm not trying to be overly dramatic, but in some ways, I almost feel like it is almost irreversible. McKee is just running us into the ground. I mean, there's so much need for our public safety is at risk. You can't imagine the heat I get for naming gang members. And now they don't like that I'm talking about that we need to reform drunk driving. There's an attorney in Newport. All he does is get DUI people off on technicalities. And he's like, sending me messages. If you go after we're coming after you. Wait, why? Because I don't think people should be drinking and driving behind the wheel. Like, that's how backwards it is. It is terrible. Well, they do have security at the hospital. So I'm not saying there's a situation where police would even be in there, but this business of everything's a mental health case and everybody's just misunderstood. And I push back on that. There is evil that exists. There are people that have a long period of just poor choices. And there are people that they have ill intent. And if you drink for years and do drugs, I think it screws you, totally screws you up. And then now, like, we have to take care of them. Why do we have to take care of them? So, my God. Yes, Nancy McCormick. Does anyone see my comments? Yes. Unfortunately, we can see them. Terrible. Telling you, Kathy. I am just so I could go down the list. Look at I don't want to get off on a tangent here. And by the way, folks, thank you very much for the stars tonight. I normally don't do a Saturday night. I've just been so worked up all day in hearing about what they go through and what happens. And look at how, let's totally vent. You can't even go to the emergency room anymore because it's filled with people that don't speak English. And McKee and Matos just, wave them right in. Come right in. This, I mean, I normally don't want to get into the whole political thing, but we can't have open borders. New York, the mayor of New York is saying there's 10,000 people a month coming. They're destroying New York. Massachusetts is in an emergency with the National Guard. We can't be silent on this stuff anymore. But what Governor McKee is, he's just putting us all at risk. He's putting our security at risk because he's a puppet. There's no pushback. It's and I'm not saying that this guy isn't illegal, but it leads to a law. Rhode Island, hear me out. Rhode Island, we have really wandered into just lawlessness, right? That's what it is. And look how, it started. Thank you. It started, look at 2020, right? Let's just be very clear. There was one member of the media that was speaking out about the protests and everything else. And it was the chosen one. It was yours truly. It just started down this decline. The police are negative. And look at how difficult it is being a police officer today, being a first responder today, and the danger that they're put in. And we just, the state, we're having these different crimes that we haven't had before. The Johnston killer and ACI now. McKee telling the guards they had to stand down to the inmates at maximum security, which is ludicrous to me. That thing could have been handled in 20 minutes, and it should have been. We don't have a sense of law and order, and I feel so terrible. It has nothing to do with this, but it all compiles like the drunk driving stuff. Look at Bacchus. We let them get away with it. McKee has no interest in this. It's oh, I know. I'm glad to hear that. Hopkinton PD. I think I know your chief. He's a terrific guy. It's very upsetting, folks. I know it's Saturday night. I do. And I know tomorrow's the big celebration at Gillette for Brady. I get that. I get all of that. And I know it's the weekend and everything. I get that. But just once in a while, a story hits that just really, like, it's just so frightening and terrifying. I feel for the people at Rhode Island Hospital. I feel the frustration of the Providence police. And really for the first responders and everyone. So, it's possible they would not inform specific mental health issues due to protected privacy. Folks, don't you always get the feeling that the inmates, they have more rights than us? We need to turn things around. The people need to turn things back. He's terrific. Very dangerous criminal. Beyond dangerous. And could be, if we want to deal in reality, could be a killer. Now, folks, right now it's 7:43. So just so we're clear, I am obviously wound up and on call. So if something happens out there that is worth covering, I am totally prepared and ready to go, and we'll do on the scene live stream like we did last night. Only one there for the bomb scare in Warwick. Like we did the week before at the prison, like we did 2 weeks ago at the ACI, like we do so many different times. Fully prepared for that. if I get the name of the person that did this. Boom, it's going up on DePietro.com. Read the details on DePietro.com. And we have unique original stories no one else has. We have the police log with that jerk from Pawtucket who should be fired. He should not. That guy should not be a Pawtucket police officer. Terrible. We have the lizard student at CCRI. We have the East Providence scandal. We have a lot of video and stories that, for whatever reason, here's what you're not going to find. Ready? Spoiler alert. On DePietro.com, I don't have any clam cake recipes. I don't have a list of my favorite places to get chowder. I don't have a recipe for stuffies. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, folks. I don't I don't have that stuff. No, no. I don't. That's just not. And I hear about that all the different. But you ought to do more positive things. Yeah, I'm positive we're going to hell in a handbasket. Is what I'm positive of. There's Denise Madden. They're nutbags. All right, folks. Thank you on this Saturday night. Again, make sure a lot of new people follow the page. Thank you for all the stars, folks. We've got a long way to go for our September goal. If something breaks, I'll be out. As soon as I get the name, it's being launched on DePietro.com. Then all the subscribers will know. Folks, special Saturday night edition. I feel better. I swear, I feel better from venting when we do the live stream. I do. It has been the Saturday night edition. You guessed it. Juan After Dark.